y'all. Today I'm going to get my cornbread dressing made for Thanksgiving, and I thought I would show y'all how to do it, and then I'm going to freeze my raw dressing until Thanksgiving Day. So the first thing I've got going on is I'm making my biscuits. I just use Bisquick. There's always too much going on at Thanksgiving to try to make homemade buttermilk biscuits. I don't have time. So I just use my Bisquick. Mix up 2 recipes of Bisquick. And now I'm going to put it just in a 9x9 pan, and then I'll do the same with my cornbread. My oven is heated up to 350. I could turn it up a little to do this. I think I'll turn it up to 400. So that'll be Now I need to put my, what did I do? I lost my, here it is. I lost my spoon. I'm going to put my eggs in the boiling water. I have to boil my eggs for the cornbread. There you go. That is 9 eggs that I put in the boiling water. I'm going to go ahead and put my biscuits in the oven. So all I have left now is my corn kits. I'm using Morrison's corn kits. You are welcome to use your grandma's cornbread recipe if you prefer. That is just totally up to you. Let's see. I need 2/3 cup milk and 1 egg for each recipe. And I've got 4 corn kits here. So I need 2 2/3 cups of milk. That's 1, 2, 2/3. I need 4 eggs. All right. This always gets me excited for the holidays. I know the time is coming soon, and I get excited to cook for my family. I think that we have very definite traditions for Thanksgiving that don't get changed. So for Christmas, we're a little more imaginative, but not for Thanksgiving. We have turkey and dressing. I like having a ham also. Just depends on if we feel up to it. So this cornbread is going to work just fine. Thanksgiving to me is about family, and I always serve Thanksgiving at my dining room table. We don't go anyplace else, and whoever wants to come is more than welcome. So I want to spray my pan. I'm going to use a 13 by 9 pan for these 4 corn kits. That's perfect. So let me get my pan and then we'll start chopping vegetables. Okay, so I just sliced this very thin. It turns out perfectly. I use every bit of the celery. A whole bunch. Very thin. Then I'm going to chop up my green onions. I like getting the heart of the celery. So this year, there's probably just going to be 6 of us here, but we'll have dressing for a week. Because we love our traditional leftovers. I've got a lot of things on the menu that I'm going to show you how to cook. My #1 favorite is my marinated carrots. Some people call them copper pennies. I don't know if my recipe is the same. What better to stir fry in? I've got 2 sticks of butter. I use Saute. I turned my boiled eggs off and I'm going to let them sit in the hot water for another 15 minutes or so. All right, so I have my butter in. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my celery after my butter melts. Then I'll be chopping up my green onions. I have 4 bunches of green onions. So I just need to rinse them. All right. Okay, so my vegetables are cooking and I'm going to add about half of a, let's see, 0.05 ounce little bottle of McCormick poultry seasoning. I didn't add the whole half. I'd rather taste it first. You can always make your cornbread and your biscuits the day ahead of time. You don't have to wait until the last minute to do everything. Usually, on my time clock, I'll boil my eggs and peel them, and I'll make my cornbread and my biscuits and crumble them up in my mixing bowl and cover it up real well and let it get a little stale overnight, and then mix up my dressing, make my vegetables. I've even done that ahead of time, made my vegetables ahead of time, and then mix everything up on Thanksgiving Day and put it in the oven. So I'm going to finish cooking my cornbread and biscuits and stirring my vegetables, and I'll be back. Put your eggs into the boiling water. I want to show you how easily they come off. The peeling just slips right off. So make sure you rinse it off and get all the little pieces of shell. But the shells just come right off, and that saves precious time and energy when you're in the kitchen. I hate nothing worse than an egg that won't peel. So that's wonderful. Then I'm going to go ahead and slice up my eggs for my dressing. I'll show you how I do that. Surely you have an egg slicer, but I'll show you what I like better because I want larger chunks of egg. So if you use an egg slicer, it comes out very thin. I don't want to do that. So that's it. Sorry about my dogs. All right, let me show you what I use to slice my eggs. This is a food slicer from Pampered Chef, and this is what I use. And I just slice right up. Perfect. Okay, my biscuits are ready, so I'm excited about that. I'm just going to kind of tear them up with a fork, and I'm going to put them in the mixing bowl. Now I don't overcook them because I want them crispy on the outside but tender on the inside. The oven was set at 400 and that worked out perfectly. All right. They're kind of stuck to the pan. I'm just going to scrape it out. Perfect. Those look beautiful. Just kind of cut them up with your fork. And I end up mixing all of this many times so you don't have to have just crumbs in there, small pieces. So now I just have to wait for the cornbread and I'll come back. Stir up your biscuits and your cornbread together. This is a very large mixing bowl. So the next thing I'm gonna put in here is gonna be my sliced eggs. So I'm gonna stir that up now. Try to break up those eggs a little. This is perfect. Oh, it smells so good. All the cornbread and the spice in the air. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna add is my cream of chicken soup. Doesn't matter what brand you use, but I prefer the Campbell's. I'm gonna get a spoon. That's perfect. Now, I've got my butter and my vegetables and my seasoning. All right, now I'm going to stir the best I can. And the next thing I'm going to do is start putting my broth in. That is all that I have left. Ah, my counters are clean, y'all. Can't lose my goodness. That's lovely, but it's clumping, so it's time for my broth. Now, my recipe calls for 2 containers, but I'm always a little flexible. And I don't just pour all of it in. All right, start stirring it well. Now, if you're short on time and you want to be sure and serve dinner on time, you would put less of your chicken broth. I usually bake mine for about 2 hours. And I put 2 containers of the chicken broth. But right now I'm at 1. And it's nice and saturated. But I like more. But you can stop now if you need to bake it in an hour. But I'm gonna put my 2 containers and then I'm gonna taste it and see if I want more seasoning. That's beautiful. Oh, that's perfect. That is nice and liquidy. And that's gonna cook so well. Everything's mixed up. Now I just need to decide if I want more spice or not. So I need to taste. This is what you'll have to do. I want a little more of the spice. That's a half a container, and I think that will be enough. All right, now I'll taste it one last time. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, I'm going to turn my oven back on, and I want my pan that I cooked my biscuits in. I'm going to cook some of this for us today so you can see what I do. So I'll be back. Alright, so I'm going to try to spray my pan. That's it. Now I'm going to put in some of my dressing. Not a lot. We're going to have this for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead, my oven is preheated to 350. I'm going to go ahead and put this in and we'll see how it turns out. So, all right, so it won't take much to cook that. So I've set my timer for 30 minutes. Typically, on Thanksgiving Day, my pan of dressing I will cook for up to 2 hours. So, I'm going to freeze at this point. And when I take it out on Thanksgiving, I'm going to mix in 2 raw eggs. Okay, y'all, this dressing is ready, and I just wanted to check it. It's very moist. I like that. You don't want to cook out all of the juicy part. You want it to be tender. This is very tender and very moist. That's delicious. It is just perfect. So now I feel good about my recipe and what I'm giving to you, and I'm just so excited. I hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving.